Just to be sure, there's a spoiler. Rick and Morty hasn't been shy about questioning the protagonist's morality, but Season 8, Episode 5, reminded us just how costly the pair's adventures are, and I wouldn't expect things to get better anytime soon. While some of Rick and Morty's best episodes have focused on the titular character's finer qualities, more often than not, these adventures expose their main flaws. Rick is unapologetically selfish and doesn't mind being called out for his cold attitude. However, it's easy to downplay just how much his actions hurt others, hence why he's one of the most wanted men across the multiverse. Morty is by far the more moral of the two, but even he has been heavily influenced by his grandfather's behavior. He has proven to be just as cruel at times, and while Morty was reluctant to commit theft in Cryo Mort or Rickver, he has done far worse in the previous 7 seasons. Unfortunately, the latest episode proved that Rick and Morty haven't changed at all in Season 8 as their collateral damage continued, and given how little remorse they have shown for their actions, it looks like things will only get worse in the future. Welcome to Movie Spy. Rick and Morty caused numerous casualties while trying to rob the space community. Their needless attempt at theft led to a major battle that caused plenty of deaths. Rick and Morty's latest adventure involved them attempting to rob a space community, and although their plan started innocently enough, things quickly spiraled out of control, leading to multiple casualties. After detecting a nearby cryo ship, Rick asked Morty if he wanted to go tap on some glass, but after they boarded the vehicle, Rick turned his attention to robbing the place. Morty protested the idea, and after the duo triggered a security alarm, Rick jumped into one of the cryo chambers, demanding Morty do the same. Otherwise, the teenager would be left to fend for himself. After waking up, they were taken to completely different parts of the ship, with Morty being mistaken for one of the lower-class workers, while the space community believed Rick was the son of wealthy parents whose cryo chamber had malfunctioned. While Rick happily played along with his role, Morty tried to reject his but wound up causing the workers to revolt against the rich, prompting a huge battle between the two classes. Amidst the chaos, Rick continued his scheme and tried to rob the vault, only to find it was empty. Here, the protagonist's covers were blown, where they eventually revealed the truth after realizing the duo they were impersonating had already taken their score. Rather than the community coming together, they set off on a race across space to find the stolen loot, which resulted in numerous deaths. Alongside crashing vehicles into one another, the community even fought one another in space, leading to some truly grotesque fates. Although Morty's participation was reluctant the entire time, he did little to stop the chaos, with Cryo Mort or Rickver exposing the harsh reality that Rick and Morty haven't overcome their flaws even after 8 seasons. Rick remains a bad influence on his grandson, and even when he knows what they're doing is wrong, Morty winds up participating anyway. In the end, the remainder of the space community did unite thanks to the protagonist's help, but it doesn't justify costing numerous people their lives throughout the episode. Cryo Mort or Rickver isn't the first time Rick and Morty have caused plenty of destruction. The duo have made a habit of causing chaos all across the multiverse. There is no denying Rick and Morty caused all sorts of mayhem in Cryo Mort or Rickver. However, their actions almost feel tame in comparison to the destruction they've caused throughout the series. Had their recklessness in Season 8, Episode 5, been a one-off, we could have given the duo the benefit of the doubt, but they have made a habit of creating pandemonium everywhere they go. Even when their adventures revolve around something simple, they still have a tendency to escalate and get plenty of innocent people killed, further exposing their thoughtless behavior. Rick is easily the more guilty culprit, as he will shoot without thinking twice and ruin people's lives all to acquire a simple gadget. That said, Morty is far from guilt-free, as he killed an entire generation of people in Season 5 all over some wine. Regardless of whether they show remorse or not, Rick and Morty have frequently gone too far and destroyed large communities and sometimes planets, making it clear that their adventures often have brutal consequences. Sadly, this doesn't look like it will change anytime soon based on their latest outing. Rick and Morty still didn't learn their lesson in Cryo Mort or Rickver. Even after all the pain they caused, Rick and Morty went right back to their usual shenanigans. Watching Rick and Morty embark on crazy adventures is always entertaining, and we wouldn't have a show without it. But it's hard not to question their morality, especially after they continuously fail to learn their lesson. Although they were unable to acquire the gear that Rick initially set out for, Rick and Morty did at least escape the whole ordeal with their lives, suggesting they may have carried out a deep reflection on their mission, especially after Rick made genuine connections with Doug and Karen. Unsurprisingly, though, this wasn't the case, as they quickly targeted another ship moments later. Just before the credits started to roll, Morty mentioned the mass number of casualties they caused but tried to convince himself they still did some good before Rick scanned another cryo ship nearby. His scan revealed that it was a medical vessel, with Rick playfully mentioning that these ships typically have pretty good drugs in them, suggesting he wanted to rob it. Despite everything they had just been through, Morty begrudgingly agreed, giving Rick 5 minutes to loot the place with the caveat that his grandfather can't hog all the drugs this time. Of course, this is all presented as a classic Rick and Morty gag, but it's the perfect example of how little accountability the two take for the problems they cause. No matter how much damage they do, Rick and Morty's relationship will never change, making everyone around them extremely vulnerable. Their chaotic nature is exactly why fans have grown to love the show, and they don't always set out on adventures with bad intentions. But the protagonists are easily Rick and Morty's most dangerous characters, and after their latest encounter, I doubt they'll ever truly learn their lesson. Thanks for watching.